Hey everyone, welcome back to Homestead Corner. I'm Jenny, and today I want to talk about our plans for preparing for grid down. We all prepare and a lot of, stock up all this stuff, but having a plan in place can be one of the most important things, even sometimes more important than having a stockpile. Because if you don't have a plan, what are you going to do when an emergency happens? Today I thought we would talk about a grid down plan, the way we went about it, how we get our plans together. And we kind of use the same formula for all of our plans, for each individual types of emergencies. We try to write up a plan for it, what steps we're going to take, what order they're going to be in, things like that, so we know which ones need to be done first. And if I'm not here or my husband's not here and the kids had to get into the notebook or someone else and figure out what needs to be done, they would be able to do it very easily and get things done in order, so they have everything and all their ducks in a row when they need it. So we like to start off with just a scratch piece of paper. I love notebooks. They are fabulous. We write all kinds of stuff on there. So I love to write things down. So starting off with a plan and thinking, we try to pick a scenario. So we will go with, like, today it was grid down. I was going over this last night, our plan, just to make sure that everything's in order. We don't want to change anything because this can be adjusted numerous times until it is perfect for you. And everybody's plan is going to be a little bit different. So when we get started, we'll pick an emergency, we'll write it on top of the paper, and then we'll start writing down things that we think need to be done right away. We have to get things together, or whatever it is we think we're going to have to do, and we write those down, and not necessarily in specific order, but as they come to us. And we might leave the list on the fridge for a couple days and keep writing things on it when we think of stuff, and that is really helpful. And then we can sit down after a few days and go back over that list and kind of get things in order, which one we think is more of a top priority, which one could be lower down the list, and just kind of get them into order that's going to work for you. That's what we do, and that seems to be the easiest. And then we can write it up and have it written down in our notebook or binder, whatever you're going to use. We have it ready to go. We can look at that, and when something happens, we can just open up to it, look at it. Okay, we need to do A, B, C, D, and E. These things need to be done right away. These can wait for a few hours. So those are the type of things that we are looking at. And I figured I'd just go over the things that we have on our list to help just give you ideas and things like that. Of course, your list could be completely different because each family is going to have a different priority list. And your priorities may not be the same as mine. But as soon as the grid goes down, we like to, or any emergency, as soon as something happens, we can refer right to our notebook and see exactly what our plan is. And if I'm not here, my husband can do it, or the children, whoever needs it, it's there for them. So the first thing on our list, we think, when the grid goes down, the first thing, family first in our house for everything, all the time. Never is it different, family first. So we want to make sure that we know where everybody is that lives in our home. If someone is away from the house, we want to contact them when the grid goes down. We want to get them home where they're safe, where we know we can be together and work together as a family. That's going to help everybody in our house, because we try to keep the kids involved in planning. We try to keep everybody in the house involved so everybody knows and we're all on the same page, sort of. But the first thing we want to do when an emergency happens, and especially grid down, we want to contact anybody that's not home with us, or if we're away from home, we want to try to get in contact with home. So that would be the number one thing that we do. The second thing on our list is figuring out what happened. Why is the grid down? Did a pole break? Is there a storm? Was it an EMP? Was there an attack on the grid? Is it nationwide? Is it centralized? Just try and figure out what's going on. And that's going to help us figure out what to do next. I mean, we have a list, but in certain situations, you may want to do different things. If it's an EMP, you may have different things that you want to do instead of if it's just a storm or someone hit a pole down the street and the power goes out and it's really short. There's really not a whole lot we need to do if it's only going to be a few hours without power. But if it's, you know, something big, an EMP, an attack on the grid, then we're looking at a much longer term grid down situation, and we've got to get things set up to make life easier for us. Number 3 on our list is if we're out in the community, if we're out at work, out at the grocery store, anything like that, when this happens, we want to make a stop at the store and grab anything we may need at home to make sure, bulk up on things if we can, things like that. And we also want to make sure that we are carrying cash all the time. Even if it's, you know, $100 in the car, $50, whatever you have, $20. If you need to grab gas, get as much coffee as you can, whatever it is that you want to bulk up on in case of it being a really long-term emergency. Those are the types of things you may want to, you know, grab some over-the-counter medicine or something like that. Making sure that you have enough of everything. And if you're both out in separate vehicles, let's say your spouse or partner, whatever, is out doing something as well, having both of you stop and get what you can be very beneficial, especially in a long-term grid down situation, because eventually the stores are going to go down. You may not be able to get back to the store. There may be nothing when you get back there. So, and they may not be able to take cash. So this is why we keep cash on us all the time, is if that grid goes down and they can't take a card, you want to make sure you've got cash so you can still get the things that you need and whatever you can. So this is where things can really differ from family to family, I think, is, you know, if it's daytime, we're going to do different things than if it's nighttime. So the next thing on our list for number 4 is if it's during the day, we're going to run out and hook up our solar panels. We want to make sure that we've got as much energy coming in as we can to keep whatever we have to running. If you've got a small generator and you need to make sure you have enough power for medical equipment, anything like that you're going to have, you want to get those set up right away. If you have a gas generator, so a lot of people keep them in the garage or the basement, something like that. You may want to pull it to where you're going to actually use it and get it covered over, get it prepared. So if you have to fire it up, you may want to fire it up right away if you have to. And that's something that is going to be different for each family. So making sure you've got everything you need, and also having that plan when to set those things up, when to put things into place. You know, small little outages, most people can go without power for a couple hours and it just doesn't even matter. Might be boring, but it really, you're going to be okay, most people. But other people, it can be life-threatening to be without power for a few hours. So making sure we've got that plan. So daytime, nighttime is going to look a little bit different. And at nighttime, we would, if the power went out in the middle of the night and we happen to notice it, we're going to grab flashlights, put our lanterns out, get things ready for morning. So when we get up, if there's no electricity still when we get up, we're gonna have those things ready to go, you know, on the kitchen table, on the counter, wherever it is that you want. Just getting those emergency lights set up and in place. So, you know, I'm probably not going to start the lantern in the middle of the night. I'll just use a headlamp or a flashlight, but I want to get that out. So in the morning when I need it, it's there and ready to go. Get the matches with it, whatever I need, get everything set up. My coffee pot, because I like that first thing in the morning. And so I know that when I get up in the morning, everything's going to be ready. I'm going to be able to tackle the day, and because there's going to be a lot more to do than if the power's on and everything is normal. Number 5 on our list is to fill up containers with water if the water is still running. If you live on a well and you have electric pump, then your water is not going to be running when the power goes out. But a lot of people in the city, you're still going to have power because that town water is still going to run. So hopefully they've got generators, whatever, getting everything working and continue to run for a while at least. Getting all your containers, as much water filled up as you can be life-saving. We should all be having water stored, but you are never going to have enough water for a long-term situation. You just don't have enough room. Water goes really, really fast. So even if the water, you're not 100% sure that it's clean, that's okay. It's still good. You can boil it. You can clean it. You can use it for cleaning, whatever you have to use it for. I'm not as concerned about water if I'm going to wash the floor with it as I am if I'm going to brush my teeth with it. So, making sure that you have plenty of water. And if I've got that other water from the tap or whatever I have, then I can conserve all of my bottled stuff that I know is clean and ready for drinking and cooking. So making sure that everything is filled up as much as possible. Any container you can find. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to hold water. Number 6 is taking care of those perishable foods in the refrigerator. You do not want to lose the food that's in your refrigerator and freezer. So eating up anything that needs to be eaten, save all of that pantry food for later. Eat the fresh food so it doesn't go bad. And this is a no-brainer for most people, but some people would, I'll just eat this because it's quick and easy. But really, we want to eat those perishable foods first. If you have the ability to can them off and it looks like it's going to be a really long time, you may want to do that. But right away, we try to look at making sure the stuff in the refrigerator, because that's going to go bad first. Your freezer is going to stay cold for about 24 hours before you start to have a problem, as long as you keep it closed. So getting that refrigerator food first is going to be the most important. And number 7, setting up the kitchen to work without power. So how are you going to cook your food? You want to get that set up. How you're going to, heat water, whatever it is that you have to do in the kitchen, having a light in a certain place so you're able to prep your food. Making sure your kitchen can be fully functional without electricity is important. So that's one thing on our list that we like to make sure that is prepared, is that we can use our kitchen without electricity. And if we're cooking outside, that's fine, that's all set up. But if you're going to have a burner inside, something like that, you want to get that set up and get ready to go so you've got that and you're able to cook your food when you need to. Number 8 is setting up a cleaning and toilet situation for yourself. You want to make sure that you're able to stay clean, and you're going to need to use the toilet. So setting up your emergency toilet, setting up water jugs next to the sink where you're going to wash. Maybe you want to use a basin to wash in, like a little dish pan or something to hold the water, and all those things. Making sure you've got everything in order so you're ready to go to use the bathroom and to get clean, because being clean in an emergency situation is so important. And number 9 is setting up your water filtration. If you have a water filtration system that you plan on using during grid down situations, you want to get that set up and get it ready to use. As soon as you need to put water in it, it'll be there, it'll be ready. Have it in a location that is going to work for you. We put it right on the counter in an emergency situation. Some people have their water filtration on the counter all the time, and you wouldn't have to do that. I wouldn't even put that on the list if you already have it there. But if you keep it stored away and save it for emergencies, then you're going to want to get that set up and get it ready to go so you can get your water filtered and you've got extra water coming in all the time. And number 10 is going over your security plan. With grid down situation, it's not going to take long before other people around you start to do crazy things. So making sure you are set, checking on all your security around, your locks, make sure everything's in order. If you have sheds or garages, anything like that, making sure they're locked up. People will start doing crazy things when they get desperate. You may be prepared, but most of the population is not prepared to go 6 hours without electricity. So within a few days, things are going to get crazy. I think it's important to, set up a schedule if you had to, if you're in an area or if you think something's coming and you need to set up like a watch system overnight, anything like that. You want to go over those plans with everybody in your household, set that schedule up, figure out what needs to be done, and get those things done. So security is a big one. We try to keep on top of that all the time, but it is something we'll definitely go over in an emergency just to make sure all our ducks are in a row. So, and if it's winter time, you may want to get your alternative heating going. You may want to bump that up, definitely in your list. We have a wood stove in our home, so it's not something that we really think about because we already have it. But if it's cold outside and the grid goes down, your furnace stops working, whatever it is you're going to use for alternative heating, you want to get that started. And if you have to set up a microclimate inside your home so you're able to stay warmer with less energy, then you should have that on your list. And when you want to get that together, you want to get a lot of your other things done first, I think, because it doesn't take a long time to set up a microclimate, but it is definitely something that can be very important, and it can be life-saving because heat is so costly, especially in the cold, and you want to make sure that you have that in your list somewhere. So you can set that up, get that heating going, and if it's a microclimate you want to use, get that set up as well. And in a really long extended grid down situation, an attack on the grid or an EMP, something like that, we want to make sure that we're going that step further. We have just a quick list of things that we would do once we knew that was what was going on. We want to get that freezer food preserved. Anything that's in the freezer, we want to eat what we can and also preserve what we can as well. And then make sure your property and your home is secure. Set up a water collection, because in a longer term situation, the quicker you start collecting water, the better off you're going to be. You do not want to wait on that. Even if you've got gutters and you can put it into a barrel, or if your plan is to use tarps and funnel it into buckets, that's okay. Just get it set up so when it rains, you can at least start collecting that water. The next one is additional fire safety methods. If you're burning candles and lanterns and having fires in the house, those are things that you're not normally doing. You want to make sure that you've got extra safety measures around to help you with that. And then shut off any public utilities. You may want to disconnect from them when everything comes back on. If it comes back on, it could be a huge problem for the stuff in your home. And you could just flip those breakers and make it quick and simple. And then drain any indoor plumbing. If it gets really cold, if your home is big and you're going to do a microclimate for everybody to keep warm, other parts of your home may freeze in the wintertime. You may have to drain off any water so you don't get busted pipes, anything like that. So just thinking about those things and getting some kind of plan in order for you and your family can definitely be life-saving, and it's going to make things so much easier. Emergencies are very stressful, and a lot of us are like, oh God, what do I do now? And that's okay. If you've got a plan, it's all written out for you. You don't really have to even think about it, which is why I love to write things down, have my list, and get a plan together for each type of situation. And that way I can be prepared. When it comes, I'm ready and I don't have to worry about it or stress about it. It's just there and I know what to do. I just wanted to encourage everyone to get a plan together. There's always a possibility the grid can go down for a long term. There are all kinds of threats about it in the world today. Things are so uncertain, and we just need to be ready for lots of different situations. And grid down is one that we can definitely see clearly things that we need to do, and it's pretty easy to put a plan together. And that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.